Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's Only One story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
Hello, Duck Hunt, and welcome to the IGNUK podcast number 286. I'm your host this week, Chris Tilley, and I'm joined by Rory Powers.
Yes, you are.
And Luke Carmali.
Hello.
How you doing, guys?
Good. Fantastic. Yeah, we had an interesting lunch. We played
a game.
We played a game on the PlayStation here in the gallery, which actually is on the list. We will get into it a little bit later. But it was a surprising amount of fun.
Yeah, we didn't think it would be.
It was not what we thought it was going to be.
But it was really good.
Oh, I don't know what to expect.
Oh,
let's not say
nobody
now.
does.
Let's
So now
build
that's a little
the tension.
cliffhanger.
Neither do we.
We're kicking off with a game, though, where all has not gone well.
No.
Oh, dear.
So, Batman Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Right? Because
We're like Arkham shite.
Oh!
Shots fired at 30 seconds in.
Why
it's
are
gonna
you
be a
both
mad
shouting?
one.
We don't need to shout, guys.
I thought you would have learned
We've
that
got
about me.
microphones.
Sorry.
This is what happens when we're in a room together.
Tell me the story. What's been going on here? Because I've picked it up here and there, but it doesn't sound good.
Right, so Arkham Knight, the final game in Rocksteady's highly acclaimed Arkham trilogy, was released this week. And so the PS4 and the Xbox One versions, brilliant,
Great.
And we've given it a review. I think we gave it a 9.2.
9.2.
Yeah,
yes.
So really good. The PC version, however, was not done by Rocksteady. A port was done. They haven't, I don't think they've announced the studio that did
Named
that.
and shamed.
Yeah,
Not yet.
unfortunately not yet.
Yeah.
But it's not gone particularly well for them. So lots of issues have been reported, mainly lots of juddering. It's capped at 30 frames per second, which no one would expect for a PC game. Usually your hardware's the limit. But
there is a fix for that, but it requires going into the games.
and it can bugger it all up.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy.
So that happens, and it's juddery. There's audio glitches, and basically it's just shocking that it's kind of this big AAA game has been released into the wild in this state, not bug tested or anything. Clearly not enough. And they're happy with it. And also, the most recent development is Warner Brothers have pulled it from their online store. And we've also heard that Eurogamer has rung around some different game stores. And Game have said, yes, we have copies of Arkham Knight on PC, but we are not allowed to sell it to you. So they've actually pulled it, and they said until we fix it. So they're offering refunds and everything. But, I think for a lot of people, that's not really good enough to get to this stage.
I think one of the reasons it's so shocking to kind of see this is because, we're no strangers to launch day issues. There's a lot of big popular games. Yeah, it's almost kind of expected. On launch day, you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 bugs. Sometimes they're going to be a bit more substantial like this, but in most cases, it's something that can be fixed by a patch by the company, and they are rolled out almost immediately. Now, pulling stock off the shelves and stopping sales, this seems like this maybe is something that's a bit more problematic than maybe a patch or a single patch can just fix.
And I think you can kind of get away with, you shouldn't be able to get away with, you should be launching a game, you should quality assurance test it to the eyeballs. But, like with some of the Assassin's Creed bugs, there were issues there. And you can understand...
all the no-face...
you can understand maybe a few of them slip through the net. Okay. But this is such a widely spread issue. I'm amazed that you put it in a PC and you boot it up, and almost everyone's having these issues. So just a bit more about it. We have high-end NVIDIA hardware. It's playable but glitchy. That's what Dan Stapleton found when he did it. Mm-hmm. But when it's on AMD, it's even more severe and it's pretty much unplayable. And there's And so I've been seeing there's GIFs doing the round on online,
that's a publisher's worst nightmare. Is GIFs.
The GIFs are faster than the game, like in terms of running. So the GIFs are juddering like more, like it's ridiculous. It's really, really ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
how's this going to affect sales of the game then? Are people just going to stop buying the PC game from this week?
Well, I mean, they can't, even if they want to.
Yeah, of course.
So I mean, I would imagine that it's a fantastic game as a thing. So when it is actually released and it works, I don't think we'll see any issues. But it's not the note they really want to go out on. You know, the Arkham series did so well, Asylum and City, and you know, Origins had its detractors when it was taken away from Rocksteady. And that launched with issues as well. And one of the big things that the developer there did was say, we can't fix any more of the bugs, we're going to work on DLC now. And they were like, what, can you actually not make the base game playable before you do this?
Yeah.
And so on the plus side, you know, at least Rocksteady are saying, look, we are now putting all our energies into making this right and making it work. But by the same token, this was meant to be the return to form, right? You know, this was meant to be, you know, after a brief, slight dip, because Origins, it does have a lot of fans. This was meant to be, yes, we're back, we've done it. And
I think in a lot of aspects they are. I mean, as we said, I think this would be a bit of a bigger deal if this was a all platforms type of issue. But because the Xbox One and the PlayStation 1 are flawless, I mean, it's one of the things I'll get to on my love it list. Because I've been playing it and I haven't had any problems like that so far. So I think it's still getting a lot of thumbs up from people who are playing the game. And I've seen a lot of great feedback from people online saying how much they're enjoying it. And hopefully this is something that they'll make up for reasonably quickly. It seems like it's pretty urgent. It seems like they've got everyone working on it to get this solved.
I mean, it's one of these things, right? If they fix it within the week, people might be like, well, that was a balls up of a launch. But if you know, this is something we're still talking about a month from now.
Let's choose. What do you think? Do you think it'll be patched by the weekend or after the weekend?
I don't, because I think if it was a quick fix, they locked that frame rate at 30 as an attempted band-aid over it. They knew something was up, because you don't lock frame rates at 30 on PC just for fun.
Yeah.
So something was up there, and so I think it's a much, much more complex issue than they were.
I think Monday, it'll all be fine. It'll all be fine.
So this coming Monday.
That kind of sounds like something you would... What do you call those knitted, like, pictures?
Crochet.
That sounds like a crochet you'd have. Monday morning, it'll all be fine. And you kind of look at it and you're just like,
I think it's going to be a while.
Do you think it's going to run?
Yeah, I think these, from the sounds of it, are quite deep-rooted problems in the game.
Yeah.
It does appear that way.
I'm not particularly optimistic about it personally. It's just upsetting, I think, because the problem a lot of people have said as well, these cards that are in the machines are more powerful than the cards that are in the consoles.
That's why it's so baffling.
It's not. So there's got to be something to do with the architecture or the nature of the port.
Yeah.
That just doesn't. So I don't think it's necessarily something that it may not be an easy fix, an easy patch. It might have to be a big kind of rework.
Yeah, you would have assumed if it works so flawlessly on consoles that a port would be a reasonably simple thing to do. But as I said, I have no idea what goes into porting things onto different. It could be the most it could be astronomical. I literally have no idea. So maybe it is a much more difficult.
I mean, the idea being, you pick a company to port it because you don't have the expertise, and they do.
Yeah.
Clearly, that was a mistake on this one.
Exactly. Oh god, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame. Before we leave the subject, though, I want to say something a little bit positive about it. Obviously, the game's good, but Rory and I went to quite a fun launch event for it as well, didn't we?
Yes. Very fun.
It was the Batman Arkham Knight Cape and Cowl exhibition that people can go to. It's in near Old Street at a bar called Cachette, and it's running until June the 28th. But what did we see there?
Lots of
capes and cowls.
Awesome bat suits designed by many people, a lot of whom I had no idea who they were and had to get Chris or Rich to explain to me who they were.
Yeah.
Can you remember the name of any of them?
Eliza Doolittle.
As in the pop star?
Yeah, she was there.
Yes, she designed one.
She was there, actually.
She is the granddaughter of Sylvia Young.
And the daughter of Francis Buffel or something,
yes,
who sang Eurovision. Anyway,
Francis Bacon.
Yeah, the celebs that designed them: Jodie Kidd, Eliza Doolittle, Noel Clarke, and Jonathan Ross.
Noel Clarke.
Yes.
Oh, what was his like?
Which one was his? Do you remember?
Yeah, he did a funny tweet about his.
Yeah.
That I'll find
Yeah, no,
I'll
I'd
find in a
have to look
bit.
at that.
I remember the suits much more than the actual.
Because I knew you went. I didn't realise I didn't know who designed them.
It was
I thought
mainly
very cool.
artists though, and
Okay.
unfortunately none of us know many artists.
I
It's
see.
not our area of
Well,
expertise.
speak for yourself.
But for the art fans out there was Nancy Foots,
My favourite.
Lauren Baker, Hayden Kays, Inky, Pam Glue, Insa, the Connor Brothers, Zeus, Matt Small, John Bergerman, Case, Crash, Cyclops, Kid Acne, Logan Hicks, and Pure Evil.
I know them all.
Pure Evil.
Actually, Pure Evil's the one I have heard of.
Yeah?
But yeah, it's really good
You
fun.
ever heard of Zeus? Jeez, Chris.
It's not huge. It's like 25 of them, but it's fun to
Yeah.
have a stroll around. They look cool.
Oh, very, very.
And we're
cool.
trying to get hold of one for the office for us to design. We'll see if we can
Not
get
where.
it over
They made that very clear
Yeah,
when
we'll
I
get to
proposed.
do a design it ourselves. We'll
That's
see.
amazing.
Like a blank
We'll
one
see.
that we can IGN up.
I maybe
That'd
shouldn't.
be sexy.
Pretty
I
cool,
maybe,
yeah.
it's free
Doodles.
entry. So anyway, so we're ending on a positive Arkham note.
Yes. So yes, and hopefully Rory will be right, and on next week's podcast we'll be saying how good they fix it.
Remember,
I will-
folks.
although I will
on
say-
Monday, it'll all be over.
Although I will say, first of all, it will all be fine.
Oh, I've changed it already. Yeah.
And Rory doesn't have the best track record with being right. Anyway,
oh,
on we go
shots
then.
fired.
Let's move on to love it and shove it.
Exactly. Which
what
I was
we-
gonna change that, but I couldn't remember. Remember we got that email in
Yeah.
from all the suggestions, but I couldn't remember.
We should have made a list of them.
Yeah.
So for this week, we are loving it. And what are we loving it? Loving it.
So I am
Loving
back
it right
from
now?
E3.
Yep.
Ta-da! And I know, like, you guys did a big E3 show last week, so I don't want to link
And
it
the week
too
before.
long. And the week before. And the week before that. But it was, but as I was there, yeah, just brilliant. I think a lot of people have been saying it, but we all kind of went in with low expectations, I think. That, you know, last year was a big year,
Reasonably,
lots of stuff
yeah.
was delayed, didn't know what would be coming. But this year there was loads of exciting stuff, and I mean I've only been to 2, so what can I talk about really? But
Well,
you know,
you went to the best one of all time.
well, this is the thing.
This
Everyone
year.
was saying on the IGN US team as well, this really feels like the best E3 in about like 5-6 years, and we were all, and the energy in the war room as well during the
Yeah.
conferences was fantastic.
It's getting bigger, guys. Video
yeah.
games are the future.
They are.
You heard it here first, folks. Rory Powers. That's an exclusive quote.
So we had really good fun anyway, and it was you know, so I went hands on with Unravel, which was good. Really enjoyed that. For Honor was my personal game of the show.
Yes, that does look very cool.
Yeah, which a lot of people didn't really get it. And I mean, admittedly, when I first played it, I was playing it with an open bar, and I was like, am I just liking this because I'm slightly hammered?
That was the real all
But then
hands,
I went back before I voted for it again. I was like, right, no, play this sober, play this tired, and like see if you enjoy it. And I loved it. It's fantastic.
Is that the game where you get to choose? You get to be like a ninja or a knight? Or,
Yeah.
sorry, a samurai or a knight?
A samurai, a knight, or a Viking, and
so cool.
It's, the ones we saw were it was kind of a King of the Hill type one. So
Yes.
you basically have to capture points and hold them. And we played as knight, and we only played on one map. But in later games, you'll be able to mix and match between the different ones. You unlock certain abilities. So as a knight, for example, we could unlock a catapult if we got kill streaks, and like so you basically
This
it's
sounds
basically just,
really
It's
cool.
like calling a rocket or an airstrike, right? But obviously, different ones will have different things.
Yeah.
There's going to be a single player as well. Lots of people
Cool.
worried it'll only be a multiplayer. It was just amazing, and I played it with Marty. And I played it first because he was off. It was at Ubisoft's event, and he was off playing Assassins. And I was like, you know, you've got to play this. This is amazing. And
Yeah.
he was like, really? It does. I mean, it just didn't capture me. And then we played it, and we were like, it's so good. So that was my breakout. But yeah, I just think really good E3. And really, really lovely time. And I also got an opportunity to be on Podcast Beyond with Krupa and Gav.
Oh, the monster, the beast,
the 3.5 hour long Podcast Beyond.
My God.
We basically, it was the last night of the show, and there's a hotel that everyone stays at called the Figueroa, and then we were all there.
Figueroa.
Exactly.
Figueroa.
It was kind of like that.
I know some art.
There you go.
That's art.
And we got we just
sense.
got hammered. We filmed it in a bar, and there was just slots of 15. So yeah, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson were on it with us as well.
Oh, that's cool. So like a rotating.
Yeah, and so you know
array
they
of
obviously had the
hosts.
main team, the main US team like Max, Marty, and that lot. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good. So
Did you plug the IGN UK podcast?
I did.
Good.
Oh,
It said-
awesome.
yeah, it was like
Hello,
do
new
that.
listeners.
they were all like, oh yeah, it's people with accents, and we were like, yeah, British and Welsh accent because we are from the IGN UK podcast.
I don't know where
I
I
always give us a plug whenever I'm on the Keeping It Real film podcast
Yeah.
that we do.
No, it was awesome. It was really good. So yeah.
And what won IGN's game of the
Battlefront?
Yeah.
So I did get to have a go.
Good call.
On Battlefront. It was I played next to Gav. Gav was on the Rebels. I was on the Empire. I think you can guess who won that.
Yeah, Rebels.
Yeah, they did actually.
I totally knew it.
As it goes.
Yeah.
But so we did that, and then it was really good because I didn't get a chance to, because we were just playing as snowtroopers and rebels. But he like some of our team got to go behind closed doors and play as Luke Skywalker and stuff. And it is a really, really impressive game. A lot of people have been saying, it's Battlefield with a Star Wars skin, but it doesn't.
It looks
feel like
different
that.
enough,
It looks
yeah.
like a labour of love, and it feels that way. It really does feel like you're in the battle. So I mean, I was flying in a TIE fighter trying to shoot down Y-wings over the
Can't wait for this game.
over
I'm so
Hoth.
excited.
The one thing I did have was I'm kind of Hothed out. There's been a lot of Hoth recently,
Yeah.
and I would like to see
I get
another
it.
planet. So that was my only complaint. But obviously in the game there will be. But yeah, it's a game that I've been waiting to get my hands on for a while, and I think,
We all have.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed.
Well, speaking of video games getting announced at events, Treyarch have teased Black Ops 3 zombie mode. So they did this, they tweeted out a photo, which was a picture of the zombies from their game, and also with a little text beside it saying, San Diego, July 9th.
Are we surprised by this? Surely we knew that there would be zombies in this.
Well, usually you would assume that they would, and I think they have in the past, waited for Gamescom before showing or teasing anything from the game. I mean, we knew there were going to be zombies, but everyone's excited to get the first look, because obviously people are a little bit disappointed with
By people, do you mean
Sledgehammer
you?
games, which they did, and it just wasn't
By
that
people,
great.
do you mean you? Because you're...
People care. People totally care.
People care.
I mean, I know I care. I've talked about it on the past before. But, Chris, you may possibly be out there at the event. Would this be
Yeah.
something you'd be interested in, zombies?
Yeah, no.
No? Okay. Cool. Good talk.
Black Ops. No, I'm sure we'll have people from the games department there able to...
Yeah.
If it's zombie stuff I'm going to be doing out there, it'll be Walking Dead.
Ooh,
Walking Dead spin-off. Evil Dead TV show.
That's quite
if you
so.
count them as zombies. That's the zombie stuff I'll be doing. So
I was going to make a joke about zombies being popular, saying that they can never really die. Because they...
Yeah, no, it's good.
not your best.
Well, let's just pave over that.
Yeah, so games are becoming a bit of a bigger element at Comic-Con, but I think it's weird to debut stuff there straight after E3.
Well, see,
Especially with games, it's got this pocket,
Yeah.
and the only thing is San Diego. It's
This
just
is
so
what
strange.
I found really, really weird, because when we were talking to some people in the US and stuff, they were like, "Oh, are you and Krupa coming to Comic-Con?" And we were like, "No, why? That's Tilly's bag. It's films. Why would we go?" And they're like, "Well, no. There's loads of game stuff." And even devs were saying to us, and we were just like, why aren't you showing us here, or why aren't you coming to Cologne?
It's a weird one.
It's because, especially this year, because it's this year that it really seems to have spiked more, and this year is the shortest ever time that there's ever been between E3 and Gamescom.
I guess it's you're kind of on your own there, so you won't get trampled by other video games. You'll get overshadowed by films and TV, but there won't be other games.
It's like all these
getting in your
artificial
way.
leaks that you get before E3, so
Yeah.
it's
It is
like you've got breathing room.
It's a bit strange, though, to use that as your platform for announcement. Because I've seen it before a lot, where they use that event, those kind of events, to showcase games. Maybe, you can have the booths where you can queue up and play them for the first time, get exclusive looks and things like that. But rarely for announcements and things like that. You wouldn't really have... I mean, sometimes they have panels with voice actors where they'll talk about various games, but not really to announce any new information.
I mean, Gamescom is open to the public, so there's an argument that says maybe they want to get a show, they want to show people now, and then they let people get their hands on at the but that's what the press conferences are for. And similarly, Sony isn't having a press conference this year, so I don't know. It is a bit of a weird one.
It is a bit of a weird one, but I'm very excited about it.
You're excited.
I cannot wait.
Well, you're going to have to. So.
I absolutely love. So I talked about it on the podcast before about my longest game running for 15 or 16 consecutive hours. I'm proud of that. I'm wearing that like a badge.
Talking about something, speaking on the podcast before, when I was on Beyond, and we were all really drunk, they were getting their drinks confiscated, and I was just bleating on about Final Fantasy. It's unusual, isn't it?
I thought you were going to say, speaking of something that's 15 hours long, when I was on the last podcast Beyond.
Who got a drink confiscated?
We all got our drinks kept getting taken away because we were like, clearly.
I love that.
Who was taking them away?
Like the other members of like the podcast crew.
Just like,
Because
I'm
we were
just
like,
gonna take that from you.
I don't think we needed any more. Let's put it that way. We had more,
That's not good.
but it's fine. You can't really tell.
It's not live, so
I
you can cut
haven't
it.
listened to it back, but I have got some tweets saying, "Wow, you guys were hammered." So
I'd love it if it was just like, all right, and then next up is Luke Carmali, and then you hear a very evident cut, and it's just like, all right, see you later, Luke, and you're like, oh,
Like-
he's gone.
Like that woman who was at Radio Stoke. that I sent
Oh,
around.
God,
this
yeah.
week.
She did a farewell show. A little bit the worse for wear.
Bless her. And then they were like, she's been taken ill. She's had to go home.
No one believes that. No one's gonna believe
Let's
that.
just say she's hammered. Let's
it's
just
so
do
bad,
this.
so bad.
Let's go to some movie news.
Yes.
We finally have our Spider-Man. This has been rolling on for quite a while. There's been a few young actors auditioning for the part of a teenage Spider-Man that's going to appear in Civil War and then spin off into his own Sony movie. And there's a couple of Brits up for it, and one of them got it. Tom Holland is the name of the young actor.
Good
Yes.
Has anyone here seen anything that he's been in?
When I found out who it was, I looked him up, and I think I have, but I've now forgotten that.
I've seen some of his Instagram videos, and that is the full extent of.
Why are you on his Instagram?
I'm in love with him.
Okay.
So it just No.
Well,
no, he was showcasing his Spider-Man skills on Instagram. So
Oh,
he
I
was
heard
like
this.
doing flips and things in his garden and stuff, which actually was surprisingly selling. Because I was like, I don't really know who this guy is. I'm not too sure. I really did like Tobey Maguire up until 3, and I loved which we would just let's pretend that didn't happen. And I loved Andrew Garfield as well. I thought he was an amazing Spider-Man. So to have this person come up and be a lot younger,
To be
little
fair,
reserved,
those
but-
flips and stuff he did a while ago.
Oh, was
they're
it?
not
That was
all. They're not all. Oh, I got Spider-Man. Look what I can do.
I assume that was
So I've seen pretty much everything he's done because he's hardly done anything.
Yeah.
2 films. Is it?
Billy Elliot. He was one of the young Billy Elliots on
On
stage.
the West End. Yeah.
And there's a video of him on YouTube, actually. He's a little kid when he's playing Billy Elliot. And you see him doing the flips in that. Like, he's obviously a gymnast as well as a dancer.
Shooting webs. Da, 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 da.
But his big film debut was in The Impossible, which he got rave reviews. It's the film about a tsunami, and it's Naomi Watts, and Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
But he's the one that everyone comes out of that film talking about. He's really good at it.
Really? For a child actor as well, that's
He's really good.
That's really impressive.
And very likeable. He's in a movie called How I Live Now, which is very good. It's kind of... It's like a young adult story set in the countryside in Britain after a nuclear war's happened, and the kids are kind of left to fend for themselves. Good film. Saoirse Ronan's the lead girl in it, and he's good in that. And then he's also appeared in Wolf Hall.
Okay.
On the TV. Not a huge amount of stuff, but as you say, like, you look at that Instagram, and he comes across really well in his Instagram and in interviews. Like, he seems like a really fun kid.
That's good.
Who's not taking it all too seriously. He's just done a big new Ron Howard movie called In the Heart of the Sea, which is about the true story that Moby Dick's supposed to be loosely based on.
Oh, cool.
wow.
And then, he's straight into Spider-Man. So, and I also think it's quite cool to have someone that people don't really know.
It's quite nice when
He
there's not
is,
really much.
you know, you guys haven't seen any of this stuff really. I don't think many people have. Like, he's kind of a newcomer.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like, he can just, you know, Marvel have been so good at casting up to this point that I trust them.
You have to trust him at this point. I think it was, I remember seeing this stat, I don't remember what it was, but it was like an unbelievable amount of auditions for this.
Yeah.
And then that got narrowed down to a
'cause
smaller unbelievable number.
I was
going
to say, like, because the last 2 were... Charlie Rowe was the other one, I believe.
Yeah, Asa
he-
Butterfield as well.
Asa Butterfield. That's
And
the
I-
one who everyone thought was going to get it as well.
And I know Charlie Rowe was in The Boat That Rocked, which I have seen. So, yeah.
So you're now talking about people that haven't got the
No,
part.
but he was the last 2. I remember seeing, because he apparently tweeted out, like, congratulations.
Steven Seagal is also not Spider-Man
Yes, okay, thank you.
in this one.
Well, the other thing, that and the Sony leaks about those, you know, he can't be homosexual, he can't be, you know, any ethnicity other than Caucasian and stuff, which is like Spider-Man can't be, not Peter Parker, because after they introduced Miles Morales into the comic books.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that they would announce the new Spider-Man in the comics and then not take the opportunity to make the Spider-Man in the movies different.
And yeah, but
bearing
what-
in mind
well,
we've
what's-
had the same Spider-Man for
And what's
2
so
series.
surreal? Well, this is what's surreal. They announced the Spider-Man in the comic book, and then Sony bring out the contract being like, okay, so you've announced this black Spider-Man, you can't have a black Spider-Man in the film. And it's like, whoa.
It's too far, though. It's the movie audience, I think, is majoritively too separate from the comic book audience, to the fact that if you announced Miles Morales in the comics and that he became established as like the new Spider-Man, but then you had Spider-Man being unmasked in the movies, I think people would still be confused because they're used to the Spider-Man film franchise. That's what they're used to. But this is the thing, you can introduce it to someone new, and the point is, the biggest ethnic minorities are the biggest cinema-going demographic in the States. I guess.
I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. But we've also got a director for the Spider-Man spin-off.
Oh, yes.
It's a guy called John Watts. And again, I've had my finger firmly on the pulse here. I've seen his debut movie.
Glad you said on the pulse.
Clown, which is a horror film, kind of a horror comedy almost, based on a fake trailer. These guys made a fake trailer for a film called Clown about a guy who puts on a clown suit and can't get it off and starts killing kids.
It's a comedy?
Yeah, because it was like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And
kill some kids.
At the end of the trailer, they put like as a joke, directed by Eli Roth, this fake trailer.
Yes.
And Eli phoned them up and said they were worried that he was going to sue them, but he said to them, "No, I'm not stupid. Let's see if we can make some money out of this. I'll sue you if we don't." And so got together with them, and they made an actual movie of
That's
it. This guy directed it.
Amazing.
The film isn't as good as the fake trailer. It's kind of a one joke thing, but there's some cool stuff in it. There's some dark stuff in it.
Yeah.
He then followed that up with a movie called Cop Car, which is probably what got him this gig.
Yeah.
It's screened at Sundance. We haven't seen it yet. It's about a couple of kids in the deep south, I think, and they stumble across a cop car and decide, like, for a prank to steal it without knowing what's in the trunk. And also Kevin Bacon is the cop, who's maybe not a nice guy, who's after them and after whatever in the trunk. So it's kind of, again, it's like, it's a thriller, but with kind of a dark sense of humour to it.
Sounds interesting.
And also, it's two kids in the lead. So maybe they saw something in that thought, this is the kind of guy that
working
could
well
do
with
something
kids,
with.
yeah.
I
hate saying kids, though. He's not a kid.
The one thing I don't want, I mean, it sounds like it won't be, because if he's been introduced in Captain America, then hopefully it won't be an origin story, because we'll already...
we cannot have another Spider-Man. If I have to watch Uncle Ben die one more time, I've had it up to here.
Hulk.
With great power. We know, Ben. We know.
Puny Uncle Ben. Hulk just smashes him. Let's get on with this.
Also, don't they have the same actor in all of them as Uncle Ben?
Oh, no.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Maybe they just all look alike. Maybe he's a type.
I remember him being substantially older in the original Tobey Maguire one.
Anyway, that's all your Spider-Man news.
Yeah.
We're going to do a superhero show special on it, so look out for that Saturday morning, where I'll probably repeat all the things I just said here.
Yeah, great.
And
so
if you
stay
do
tuned.
happen to listen or watch both, don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Creep will never.
Rory,
Yes.
you've now got something which we appear to have spoken about and we're going to speak about again.
I will breeze through it very quickly. Running order, I maybe should have swapped it.
We've got Arkham Knight 3 times in the running order.
Arkham Knight.
It's a big game.
So I don't know if you guys have heard of Batman Arkham Knight. It was released this week. Some problems on the PC.
Did you like it?
I'm loving it.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Go on, Rory. What did you have to say?
No, just I'm absolutely loving it. As I said, I got the Xbox version. I know a lot of people at the office have the PlayStation version.
That's me.
It's fantastic. It's so great so far. It's the best one I've played since Asylum. The controls are amazing. The graphics are incredible. As I said, I've had no bugs so far. And I think it's incredible. So if you are on a console, maybe not on a PC, I definitely recommend picking it up if you get the opportunity.
So I guess we could call you a Bat fan.
Oh my God. I knew you were going to make this joke.
Is it
so awful.
better than Arkham Asylum?
I haven't played enough of it yet to make a good decision, but it's definitely it's on par.
I'll take it off here then for now.
Take it off here.
For me, it's better than City.
Just
for what I've played, it's better than City.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
But yeah.
Cool, and I'm just going to finally do a little plug for something that I love, as anyone that listens to this podcast knows. Fright Fest is nearly upon us, August bank holiday, and they have announced the opening and closing films for this year. Opening is a pagan cult chiller called Cherry Tree, about a young girl who, in an attempt to save her father's life, makes a fateful pact with the head of a sinister black magic coven.
That sounds fun.
Led by Rich.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's got...
Imagine if you're watching that movie and there was a big villainous reveal and it was Bear Park.
Bear Park just there with his cards.
With a dove just...
I was going to say,
sets it
that
up.
sounds like it's got Wicker Man vibes, and I can imagine him playing the Christopher Lee role in Wicker Man.
Well, there's an opening if there's a remake.
Especially when he's in that dress. And then...
Not the bees!
Bear Park's just watching.
Not that Wicker Man.
Oh, I see.
The original. Yeah. We don't talk about the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man on here. Okay, that's like
I just want to see Rich and Nicolas Cage do a.
You were so close to making it all the way through.
Yeah,
without
can't let it go.
It's believable.
And what is the closing film, Chris?
It's called Tales of Halloween.
Oh.
And it is a film it's an anthology horror.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
No.
That's when you have lots of little stories making up a bigger story.
Oh, okay.
Or like three.
Like Goosebumps.
Yeah. Trick or Treat was a big one. Do you ever see Trick or Treat? That's amazing.
Is that like a full-on film broken down into smaller? Oh, okay.
So this one's got 10 tales of terror that unfold in a sleepy American suburb on Halloween as ghouls, imps, aliens, goblins, demons, axe murderers and serial killers roam the witching hour. And it's directed by a bunch of really interesting directors like Neil Marshall, who did Dog Soldiers and The Descent.
So separate directors?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Oh, that's really cool, yeah.
Lucky McGee, Darren M. Busman, Mike Mendez, Dave Parker. So lots of good stuff there. That's the closing night film, which should be fun. The full lineup's announced July 2nd. Tickets on sale July 4th. And as I said, it's all over the August bank holiday weekend. And I will be there, so I hope to see some of our listeners
that'd be
or
awesome.
viewers there.
Are you a big fan of horror films?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I wasn't... when I was growing up, I was a bit of a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
But when I started doing this job, I realised that the films I like writing about the most were horror films.
I was going to say, what kind of broke it for you? Because I'm still awful with horror.
I think seeing stuff like The Wicker Man and Don't Look Now... You know what it was? It was actually starting to interview people. Like, my first interview was with Eli Roth, and then Edgar Wright soon after, and a guy called Don Coscarelli, and all these people who really were passionate about the genre, and then they're the people that have become my friends in the industry because they're just fanboys like me and my friends are. And and they seem to have the best sense of humour. There's something about liking to scare people and being funny that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's to do with that nervous laughter that you get in the cinema when something scary is about to happen.
Yeah.
And also that you know, a fright might be followed by a gag or something, or in those films, just to calm you down, or standing at the back of the cinema with these filmmakers when their film's on, and the way that a comedy director will be waiting for the laughs and be laughing at the back. Yeah, they'll be just pissing themselves. When people are going absolutely mental because that's what they wanted.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
So
really
yeah,
cool.
It's always fun to meet those guys, and whenever you're at a festival with them, they just hang out with the fans and talk to, you know, they'll be at the bar. It's horror. The community is a really nice, special, like,
ironically, very friendly,
it's the opposite of what the image would be of kind of, you know,
very
weird
unlikely
loners.
to get murdered at them.
Yeah, I guess so. Although it would be quite good to do a horror film set at a horror film festival. Yeah.
Interesting.
There you go.
Let's write that. All right.
Taking investors.
Let's move on to Shove It, Luke.
Right, so I'm just kicking off with jet lag. This is the first time I've really had it.
You put jet lag on the shove it list?
Hey, I was thinking of things to shove and I thought jet lag.
How about I shove you?
Well, I'm sorry, that sounds...
Why have you got jet lag, Luke?
Well, because from coming back from E3...
Do you think our listeners really were going to have any sympathy for you? You've just gone to E3 on IGN's butt
I was just gonna
to see all these games that you love, and now I'm a bit tired. I'm a bit tired.
I'm just saying.
Did you know the whole thing in Die Hard about him taking off his shoes to help with jet lag was just a device?
Fists with toes.
Yeah, just a device to get him to take off his shoes.
And yet I do it every time.
Maybe it's like a placebo thing.
I haven't seen that.
No, seriously, Luke. What are you expecting from this?
I don't know. I just kind of wanted.
For you?
I just thought we needed maybe to just. I just kind of wanted to talk about it and just say like my jet lag cure is to drink through it.
Cool. Next on the list is sleepy. I'm sleepy.
Well,
so I put that on the shove it list.
Bear in mind that last week I went to New Mexico for one day, and you're complaining.
Okay,
I went to New Mexico for one day. 3 of my 4 flights were delayed.
No.
I had to run through the airport on the way there and on the way back. And yet I'm not. You don't hear a peep out of me.
Well, this has not gone well for me.
One day, I got in at midnight. I had to be up at 5:30 in the morning for a day on set that lasted 12 hours, and then got straight back, went to bed, up straight to the airport. It was insane, and yet
fun.
I haven't put it on here.
Well, now I've enabled you to talk about it, so you are welcome, my friend.
This is the floodgates
you are
now.
Welcome.
More on what I
Complaining is
did
just coming
soon.
out.
I can't say what I was up to, but it was on the set of Independence Day Resurgence, and I had a really interesting day, but I might not be able to talk about it for a year, so...
We'll keep that on the old
Bookmark it and
blocker.
come back later.
Yeah.
I got some sad news, though.
Yes.
Hannibal's been cancelled. Do either of you watch Hannibal?
This means nothing to me.
Well, let's move on then.
I know because Alex likes it, and Oh, does Alex? Yeah, I swear Alex does like it, and he always but he feels a bit awkward watching it on the train. Because
you would. It's incredibly
because I think it was you guys were chatting about it. You, Krupa, and him at one stage.
Me and Dan like it,
Yeah.
and I think Dan's been bugging Alex to watch it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know Alex had started watching it,
and I basically because you were talking about it, and the way you were talking about it, you were like, "Oh, it's really good," and I was like, "Oh, maybe I should give it a go." And then as I started hearing more, I was like, this does sound like it would scare me shitless. So maybe not.
I don't know if it's as frightening as it is violent. It's very violent.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it quite...
but it's beautifully shot.
Is it quite graphically violent?
It's got a True Detective vibe, I think, some of the violence. But there's some pretty nasty stuff in it.
Well, it was a weird reason, right? Why it was cancelled? It was because
no, in fact, I would say it's not a weird reason. I
thought it was something...
It's been cancelled because it's not got enough viewers.
Oh, that's it? I thought it was something more
and it's been actually, I know Twitter has gone a bit mad and they've all been having a massive go at NBC. But even the show's creator has said, it's not their fault. They've given us 3 seasons. We can't get the viewership up. We've tried. And for whatever reason, for financial reasons, they just don't feel like they can go on. So Brian Fuller, who's the showrunner, said, NBC has allowed us to craft a television series that no other broadcast network would have dared and kept us on the air for 3 seasons despite ratings and images that would have shredded the eyeballs of lesser standards and practices enforcers.
These two.
He said Hannibal is finishing his last course on NBC at the NBC table this summer, but a hungry cannibal can always dine again. But yeah, it struggled to find a fan base. And this season, 3rd season, has had its lowest ratings, even though many have said it's been the best yet.
Yeah.
So it's going to continue to air that 3rd season, both in the States and in the UK, and now they're trying to find someone else to pick it up.
Yeah.
But that's got complicated.
I heard about that.
Yeah, because they've spoken to Netflix and Amazon. They could go with Netflix, but the show already has a deal with Amazon
so it's like
for the first 3 series.
Yeah, type thing, isn't it?
So Amazon would make the most sense. But then, because of who that the show sold to internationally, that's part of a deal with NBC. So with NBC out of it, some of the international territories might not want to
with that syndication,
buy it.
Right?
Yeah, and so I think just before we've done this podcast, Brian Fuller's said it's about a 50-50 chance at the moment.
Yeah.
But he's always had a plan for 5 seasons, and we're in 3, so he needs to get another 2 seasons out if he can. So, it's kind of watch this space at the moment.
So the numbers make sense.
But it seems sad that it's, a well-received, well-liked programme, but money talks.
I guess it's kind of just a niche audience.
Yeah.
Luke, you've got more rubbish news.
I do, more rubbish games news. Now, we very nearly actually made this the talking point, but we settled on Arkham Knight, because why not? So this is about Destiny, the Taken King expansion. Now, Rory kind of knows a bit about it. Do you know anything about this?
No, that's why I said we should do Arkham Knight, because I didn't know this one.
Yeah, good.
I just realised, if we had gone with Destiny, it would have made sense for me to talk about Arkham Knight in the Love It section. So
yeah, maybe let's talk about this off the podcast when we're rather than...
Right.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, because they're listening. Okay, yeah.
So basically, the Taken King is a big expansion coming out for Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's coming out in September.
And people aren't taken with it, Luke.
That's why we pay him the mediocre bucks.
Yeah.
Basically, the way they are doing it is... It's bundled in with the Taken King expansion is the original game and the 2 expansions we've had so far, which are smaller kind of mini expansions, really. The problem being, if you already own them, you can't just pay to buy the Taken King. You have to pay the full price and get all of the stuff you've had before. That's a $60 game.
Wow.
So that pissed people off to begin with. Then the second thing was there was loads of exclusive things, like exclusive emotes, exclusive kind of emblems and stuff for your armour. That was only going to be available to people who bought the collector's edition. And this is, and like, the way that Destiny works, customizing your armor and stuff is a big part of it. So, to get the full experience of the Taken King, if you've pumped in all this time already, you have to then find somewhere that still has a collector's edition left in stock and plop down $80 for an expansion to a game that isn't even as big as the stuff that's come before. And there's everyone's saying, why is there nothing to reward the people who've made the community to, just who've been here for the first year, have put their time and their effort in, have really, really helped it grow and be such a success and get to a stage where it can put out this expansion. And there wasn't anything. And anyway, shockingly, Bungie have now kind of come out. This was all exacerbated by an interview that was done at E3 with Luke Smith, who is the creative lead on The Taken King. And he made some...
What an interview it was.
Yeah, he made some inadvised comments.
Yeah.
Basically,
I think out of the context of the interview.
Even in the context of the interview, they're not great, unfortunately. And one of them, he's like, listen, if you saw these emotes, if you saw what they were, you would throw money at your screen. And it's like, you're saying that these people will throw $80 at their screen for an emote. Like, what are you on? And it's just, what it sounds is very much, it sounds very classless. Like, it doesn't sound classy at all. It's very tasteless. And anyway, now Bungie have probably actually by the time the podcast is up, annoyingly, they will have released their weekly update in which they promised something better for veteran players is coming. They're hearing this and they're going to react to this feedback. But in the interim, they have said that players who already own Destiny and both expansion packs can pick up the additional content just for $20. And you can also I think they're also going to sell the items separately as well. And it says here, so yes, Luke Smith has issued a statement as well saying, anyone who knows me knows I can be sarcastic. Anyone who remembers podcasts I've done knows I can be blunt. Anyone who's watched me in a vid doc knows I'm unpolished. However, most of you don't know me. My words made it sound as if Bungie doesn't care about their most loyal fans. We do care, we are listening, and we will make it right. So, they will or they won't, I guess.
Something that Bungie and Destiny players have had a problem with in the past is definitely feeling like they're being taken advantage of. And it's one of those things where it's a game where people are, at this point, so invested that you can set up higher prices for expansions, and the fan base are most likely going to pay for it to continue on playing the game and to continue on, because they've invested so much time and money already into playing this game.
That's the awful thing, and that lots of people cite that as the World of Warcraft advantage. You know, that's why, because people have put so much time in, they're not going to write that off.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reason it kind of really, really stings, I fell out of love with Destiny ages ago, but the reason it stings for a lot of people is Bungie launched a game that, you know, lacked story, that lacked lots of stuff. These are the people, these are their evangelists who went out, got their friends in and all of this. Also, it lacked matchmaking, so they set up online matchmaking. So, you know, they set up boards to find people to run with. All the lore was hidden away in the mobile app, so they set up websites like and wikis where you can put all this information. You know, they did a lot of Bungie's job for them, and as a stuff that will now make it easier for new people to come in. And as a thank you, they kind of feel Bungie's just being like, you know, okay, well, thanks for that, but
here's something new you can buy for $80.
Because and you know, you can see why it makes sense. I think Bungie has literally just thought about it as like, if we give this as an opportunity, this will get even more new people in. And it's like, yeah, that'll get new people in, but what's your cost?
Yeah.
You're losing people. So hopefully they'll change it. And they already seem to be changing it a bit, but I think this is
it's been a bad week, hasn't it?
It has not been fantastic.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure we don't get too down on the podcast.
Well, this is us, and we do now weekly set aside an entire section to stuff that's upsetting us.
Yeah,
I do wonder if it's too negative.
Yeah. Do you think so? Because then it's like happy, and then just like boom, bad, awful stuff.
Well, I think you got to try and make some of it funny.
Okay, well, let's do that right now. Another hoverboard. I know what you're thinking, Rory. Why would a hoverboard be on the shove it list? I'm over hoverboards.
Good.
I am over it.
Okay.
I know it's 2015. I know everyone's trying to make the Back to the Future predictions come true. But so, in a bit of the context, Lexus have announced a trailer showing their new hoverboard technology, which it was someone pushing on a skateboard, and then they put a foot on this hoverboard that looked like it was hovering over normal ground, pavement, which is a huge thing because the hoverboards that exist now, that everyone's been trying to make and beat to the market, have required a specifically designed surface, and they can only travel on that surface.
Yeah.
So everyone was very excited, thinking, oh wow, this is going to be the first one that can actually work on the ground. It says it uses liquid nitrogen-cooled superconductors.
That's cool.
Everyone's like, this is amazing. Yeah. Oh my God. It looked amazing. And then Lexus announced in a little press update that actually there was magnetic material under the floor that had been buried there So it will only work on specific materials so far. So I think we should all just forget about hover technology because no one's gonna. Are we gonna lace the pavements with this material everywhere?
It's dangerous. What's wrong with a Segway? I've still never ridden a Segway.
Me neither. You know, they don't even make them with the posts anymore. You can just get ones that you just stand like a noodle and like
Like a noodle?
and wiggle your way with and wheels.
Do you mean an uncooked piece of spaghetti?
People want them
Perhaps.
so badly.
But that's it. I would much rather, if we're trying to make the future happen, I would rather everyone just encourages Nike with their power laces.
What are
You've
they-
seen that they're
what are they?
allegedly. You haven't seen Back to the Future, which makes me so sad. But basically, in the future, he goes,
Tell it
he
everyone.
has shoes, and he basically pushes a button, and they like lace themselves and like tighten up like
that's
by
quite-
themselves. And
that's
you just
quite
go
cool.
choo-choo, and they like And apparently, they said that they're working on it, and it will be available by the end of 2015.
That sounds like adult Velcro, which is good because
Kind of.
I was told that adults don't wear Velcro, and that was one of the
They
saddest
don't?
days of my life.
Not as
I'm
good as the
bad with
Reebok
laces.
pumps, though. Those are the...
What are they?
Those are the ones.
Man, see, I'm showing my age now.
Are they
That was
the
the
ones
most
with the air in
exciting
them?
thing. Yeah, it was about 10 years old in America. I got them, and you just pump up the front, and they made your shoe tighter.
What?
And like the pump on the top of mine was like a basketball.
Oh,
That's
quite cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
Was there any benefit to it? Rather just
Just
make
made
your
your
shoes
shoes
tighter?
tighter. Yeah.
Didn't like make you bouncier or like.
Well, I think that's what the advert made it look like.
Yeah.
I suddenly become brilliant at basketball.
Yeah,
I don't think that's...
well, that's
yeah.
the whole thing with light up shoes as well. They had
Oh.
the lights in the heels, and they were like, "You'll run even faster with light shoes."
They were amazing, and
I was
I
like, yeah.
cried my little eyes out on the day that the batteries died in mine. Also,
Don't they
This,
take,
this was
like-
only 6 months ago.
I
Sorry,
swear,
that's a terrible joke.
I swear they last like
completely.
years, right? They're like watch batteries.
remember the ones when... Remember the
You're just like
platform
running
shoes?
on a hamster wheel as a
What happened to the
6-year-old.
platform shoes with the fish in them?
PTA or no?
That was a joke from the movie I'm going to get you sucker. That's not real, is it?
No, they are
Is
real.
it not? I thought
a
Baby
joke from a
Spice
movie,
wore
wasn't
them.
it?
I thought Baby Spice
No, they're
wore them.
real.
It was in a movie called I'm going to get you sucker.
But I
He's a
think it
pimp.
then
I
became
think you could
real.
definitely
Yeah.
purchase those.
Can someone write into IGN_UK
I don't know.
feedback at IGN.com
I think
if you can source
a
us?
fish is too cruel. I think
We'll
if you had
just Google
sea
it.
monkeys.
Well, yeah, but I want them to source it for us.
If you had sea monkeys in a shoe, not as exciting as a fish, but that's not as cruel.
Can you see them?
Yeah, you just have to get like really.
right.
You have to go on your hands
I
and
think we've
knees and
gone
look
off
at the
piece.
shoes.
Right, I feel like I'm trying to control two little kids now.
Yeah, that kind of happens.
Let's try and pull it back.
In the best way possible.
Guys. So, hoverboard, bad.
Bad hoverboard, not till the future.
Okay. I might have some...
Poorly constructed.
I might have
sentence.
some exciting Back to the Future news coming soon as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't talk. Can we talk about it often?
I don't know if I can. I hate talking about something before, so I shouldn't have even brought it up. Because
shouldn't
if it
have.
doesn't happen, then it just makes us look awful. Pretend I didn't say anything. I saw the Human Centipede 3 this morning.
How was that? Was it like having your arse sewn
I
to
didn't-
somebody's...
I didn't really enjoy
Have
it.
shit piled into your body.
You need to stop swearing.
Sorry, have I been swearing?
Yeah, second time.
God.
It's
I'm a bad
not
influence.
great. I liked the first one a bit. I hated the second one, and this one's pretty bad. So I'm trying to figure out whether I should review it for the site. Do you think the site needs a review of Human Centipede 3?
I mean, yeah, people are going to be searching Human Centipede review.
Yeah.
That is going to be a thing
Glad
that
you had
will
a
happen.
review to the end of that.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I think the cult aspect to it and the appeal of its rarity is kind of faded at this point. Because I think when it came out, when you heard the premise of it, that was enticing enough and enticing enough to give it a sequel.
Would you describe the premise as enticing? Is
Well,
that-
I mean, intriguing enough.
Okay.
I think that's probably the word I was looking for. I don't know. I don't think the demand is there for it, which is maybe why people just aren't.
I'm going to
that
have to put a
interested in it.
disclaimer at the end of the review that I'm friends with the director as well, but I don't think anyone will think I'm being bribed when I write this review.
Before publication, I was friends with the director.
He's read my last review though, and he
It's
was
now
fine about it.
unclear where we
I
stand.
think he quite likes people hating it, but he's in it this time. There's a human caterpillar in it, I think.
What's that?
There's
The
some
director's
Just a
in the
lot-
film?
Yeah, playing himself.
How is
He's
it-
not part of the.
No.
Hang on.
Shane, is
How's
he?
the caterpillar different?
I
from-
don't want to get involved in this on the podcast. I just thought I should say I saw it and didn't really like it, as it's quite fresh in my memory.
Okay. It's too soon. The trauma needs to fade.
Yeah, and also even if you're going to watch it, I don't recommend watching it first thing in the morning.
Ooh.
Should we do the feedback?
Yeah. Jesus.
You got the
Christ.
first piece.
I do.
Luke.
So, Josh McNabb says, awesome podcast. Right, I have to say, a game that shaped my whole game experience and one that I'm going to buy a PS4 for is Final Fantasy VII. To this day, I've not played a better RPG. I've been waiting 14 years and I'm 31. I've always been in the pro remake camp, and the news they're finally making it is beyond hyper exciting, so hats off to Square for listening to fans. Can you suggest, in the meantime, any similarly deep and involved RPGs worth playing until it's released? And now he's got a PS3. So...
This is very much your kind of email.
Yeah. What have you got?
Nothing.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I would say Ni no Kuni is a fantastic one if you haven't.
Yeah.
That is the Studio Ghibli collaboration.
Yep.
Love
which
Studio
is
Ghibli.
great. Resonance of Fate is alright. I didn't really connect with the story that well on PS3. Valkyria Chronicles is beautiful. It's different. It's kind of like a tactics game. So yeah, those are 3 games at the moment that I would recommend. But yeah, obviously most of the Final Fantasy games now have been re-released. So if you haven't played 10, Final Fantasy 10, which is a remaster, I love it. He does. So yeah, go.
Ace impression.
Some good recommendations. Can we go on to 3?
What happened to 2?
No, nothing. It's fine. You can go on to 3.
These are
Phil's got it?
numbered? Oh God, I've mixed them all up.
Oh, come on,
I didn't know they
guys.
were numbered.
Every week they're numbered.
Are they? I don't have 2.
3.
Oh, 3. I have 3. This is from Jeremy Armstrong. Hello, Jeremy. Duck Hunt. I know to some backwards compatibility is too late, but I think a lot of people are seeing it as purely as play your old games and that is all, which is what I'm seeing it as. People seem to be missing the fact there could be more to this. For example, we're getting free copies of Vegas 1 and 2 with Rainbow Six Siege. We're getting Fallout 3 with Fallout 4. So clearly there are free and exclusive incentives for Xbox One owners who may not be up to date with their franchises. On top of this, what is stopping EA from suddenly announcing that every single 360 game will be hitting EA Access? It's actually interesting. I hadn't thought about that. What about all the digital games? What about all the digital games where suddenly age and top-notch graphics don't become an issue, where we don't need a re-release of an indie game and can buy the current version, which means more money for indie developers and more gaming options for gamers? What about those of us with just an Xbox One, such as their first console, or maybe they switch from another platform? Suddenly a slew of cheap games becomes available on the Xbox.
True.
Do you guys have any thoughts about backwards compatibility? I mean, I'm just as you said, seeing it as much more simple. I'm just like, hey, I get to play some of my old games that I enjoyed playing in the past. I don't have to rebuy them or anything like that.
So we've had more details come out as well. Like, so, cloud saves carry over, achievements carry over. So in actual fact, it's not, they're like, oh, it's a base level emulator. It's a software emulator.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, there's a lot of stuff that they're carrying over, which is really cool. So at first I was a bit dismissive about it. I was like, oh God, we have every remaster under the sun. Why would we kind of need this? But actually, I think it's a cool thing. And yeah, the idea, it's almost like as the pre-owned market kind of dies a little bit, the idea that there's still going to be a market for 360 games, right?
Yeah.
So, but again, it does hinge on publishers saying, yeah, you can do this. That's the point that could be a little bit skew-iffy.
I think it's just nice for Microsoft to have all their games, all their back catalog now available on one device. Yeah. So now, as soon as this is kind of rolled out, it's all Xbox One.
All-in-one entertainment system.
Exactly, yeah, which is what they've been kind of going for since launch.
Yeah, awesome. So Levon Young says, Halo 5, Titanfall and The Witcher 3 are trying new things in regards to DLC, while others like Syndicate and Black Ops 3 are going with the tried and true. Hollywood and gaming enjoy the humble brag about how much money they gross with each release, but why can't certain publicised benchmarks generate free DLC? So I think what he's kind of talking about there is the idea of, if we have X many sales or something, we will release DLC for free.
Yeah.
Or, that kind of thing, like... Certainly Ukulele, and on Kickstarter, when they were like, if we get 2 million in funding, all our backers will get free DLC. And, that's, it's an interesting thought, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're businesses, I think, is the...
Yep. They're going to take the most profitable route, aren't they?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
yeah, exactly.
As long as people will pay for it, they'll keep doing it.
I don't like how normal it's becoming for games to have season passes.
Yeah.
Because it's getting to the point now where if I get a game I like, it's like, okay, so I bought the game, and I'm also going to get the season pass. It's almost like second nature now, and that's kind of annoying. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
So hopefully people do move away from it a bit. Fingers crossed.
Adam Bond says, on this week's pod, you guys were quite critical of GOT Season 5 and discussed being done with the show.
Yes.
While I certainly agree with this season was quite weak in comparison with earlier seasons, I would urge you to give it another shot come Season 6. Every show has a weak point in its run. I found season 5 of Mad Men very tedious. Yes, this season was bleak and depressing, but perhaps it's necessary to truly appreciate what will come in the next 2 to 3 final seasons. I think viewers should keep the faith that Game of Thrones can return to form.
This was
we've got
context,
2 more on Game of Thrones as well.
This was me and Alex ragging on. We were kind of disappointed in the finale of Game of Thrones. I absolutely agree.
You've got one that's Game of Thrones, and
this is Game of Thrones as well.
All Game of Thrones. So.
Oh my gosh, probably shouldn't have been so hard on it last time. This is Joshua. I'm guessing this will be one of the many email responses to Alex saying he's now done with Game of Thrones off the back of the finale. He was right there. But I think leaving now would be the worst time to leave. Oh God, everyone disagrees. I'm guessing from his reaction that he hasn't read the books prior to watching the show. I don't think he has. I don't think he's read the books. And I can say that all of his grievances made last week are against the books and not the TV show. Massive battle that was skipped over in the end in the books. Death of the major characters in the final episode in the books. Characters left in the middle of nowhere without resolution in the books.
Yeah, finish. Just finish.
However, the next season, as we all know, is being written without the books as a guide. The showrunners are going off their own path. So I think allowances will be made for the books that can be washed away to make a more streamlined and watchable TV show in the future.
Now, I disagree with that because they've already made huge changes. So in actual fact, a lot of the stuff in the show is very much their own devices. So anyway, but the final one we have is from Martin. And he says, you're wrong about Game of Thrones. Try not to give out too many spoilers. A lot of what happens at the end of season 5 is in the books. The incidents with Jon Snow at the end of the last book. I agree season 5 hasn't been the best, but it has some amazing moments. The implication that the showrunners are trying to shock is wrong. Look at the Red Wedding and the fight with the Mountain and the Red Viper, for example. They're way more shocking. Season 5 has actually pulled away from certain scenes. For example, the wedding night of Sansa and Ramsay. He says that. There is no wedding night of Sansa and Ramsay in the book. Sansa doesn't get married to him. It's someone else. At least things are moving forward now. I don't know. I mean, I obviously wasn't here last week.
You've read the books.
I have read the books.
Have you seen season 5?
Yes, I'm completely up to date.
Fantastic. You're primed and ready.
I am primed and ready to answer this question. I just think, and I've said it before, I think they've taken a lot of liberties, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. They are making a TV show. They're making a version of a story.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really use the books one way or another, like as a kind of like excuse to say like, oh yeah, they diverge from the books, this is bad, or they diverge from the books, this is good.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally just a case of they are 2 separate pieces of entertainment. But for them to say, oh, they're just sticking to the books, like some people think they stick to the books too much, something they don't. They've really, really gone off-piste, and George R. R. Martin still has this overall narrative that they're working towards. It's
difficult for me to speculate on how this season is going in terms of comparing it to the books, because I haven't read any of the books, so I'm purely viewing it as, in itself, a season of a television show. That's what I'm just trying to look at it as. And I mean...
it's just tonally, it's very dark, and I've said this before, I would like you... It's constantly nailing home to you, failure after failure after failure, and, characters were high. They redeemed Sansa at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
Now she's brought low again, and it's just like, give us a win. Like, just give us a win somewhere so we can have something to cheer about.
Yeah.
I've quite enjoyed everyone getting upset and saying they're not going to watch it anymore because I gave up so long ago.
It's completely
I was right all along.
Yeah.
Isn't it Bear Park as well? Who's now?
I probably will.
Dylan Wynn writes in on the same subject and says, "Thank the mighty Duck Hunter. I was beginning to think I was the only one. I was on my own." And he goes on to say what, but you haven't highlighted that, so people. So
you can't read it, Chris.
I figured it out.
Good.
So Dylan's talking about the TV show Game of Thrones here. Yeah. I figured that out. He says, "I love the first 3 series, but the last series not only failed to deliver on some big plot points,
yes,
it also landed a fatal, final, depressing blow. Without giving away any spoilers, the latest series ended with me thinking, what's the point? I'm tired of it bringing me down."
Yeah, exactly.
It
is a bit of a downer, it must be said.
And I'm not saying that's... I think I should probably watch the next seasons to be taken out of this. I think it was trying to end on a bit of a cliffhanger in a lot of aspects, but instead it was just kind of a bum note. So hopefully that's it. That will be the point of sticking with it.
Yeah, well, maybe it's the Empire Strikes Back moment.
Yeah.
you've only got a year to wait for this. Back then, you had 2 or 3 years to wait. The Empire Strikes Back ended in the most depressing fashion you can imagine.
Well, also
a bloke in carbonite, a bloke's lost his arm and found out that his dad's evil. It's just grim, and that's how they ended the film. And you had to wait years to find out.
I was going to say, how long was that gap?
It was 2 or 3 years.
Well, book readers have been waiting like 5 or 6 or something, and then the show goes ahead and kills half the characters that don't die in the blood.
Yeah,
that's quite fun.
Don't die in
that.
the book, and then they're like, oh yeah, no, he told us. Has he not told you that they die? And everyone's just like, no. So anyway, it's going to be interesting because it's obviously going to finish before the books.
The equivalent though would be Luke meeting Darth Vader on the Death Star, and they both take out their lightsabers, and then it cuts to an exterior pan of the Death Star, and then goes in, and the battle's over.
Yeah,
and then that would be the George R.R. Martin version. No, sorry, that would be the show version of that.
I don't know if you can complain that. I think they used all their budget up on that zombie fight the week before.
Yeah, so it's very true.
And let's not go into too big a spoilers.
Okay. Yes.
I think you got the next bit of feedback, Rory.
If it's number 9, then you bet I do. So this is from
Can you say
Kyle.
it then, please? Okay.
I'm off on holiday for 10 days as of Monday and would like to hear if you have any recommendations of any audiobooks. I've only ever listened to Partridge in audio form and loved it.
That was my first. I've only read 2 audiobooks and that was my first.
Really?
I've listened to it twice.
What was the other one?
Thanks, Kyle.
I'm going to recommend it. I listened to The Martian.
Oh,
we published my set visit. I went to the set of The Martian in Budapest to interview Matt Damon. Film's coming out at Christmas. Ridley Scott directing. It's like a cross between Gravity and Castaway. And yeah, it gets very sciencey. So I think the book would annoy me, but listening to it was a bit more easier for my ears to take. Although it's one guy doing all the voices, and it did make me laugh whenever he did the Indian guy at NASA's accent.
No.
Yeah, it's like, maybe just don't bother doing the accents rather than
maybe
doing a bad one. So that's the only other one I've read, so I can't recommend any others. For me, I like reading maybe celebrity biographies, though. I think that's what I would do when it's someone reading their own story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be pretty interesting. If it's them talking about past experiences, a bit more interesting.
Guys?
The only audiobooks I've ever done are the Harry Potter ones with Stephen Fry reading them.
Yeah.
So if you haven't done them, he does a very, very good job with them. But I'm sure you haven't read Harry Potter to death.
Yeah, I'd recommend a little season. You may have heard of it called Game of Thrones, popular book series. I actually
did you?
What?
Did you listen to an audio books of them? Well, they do
you
exist.
You
actually.
didn't let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
I actually have never listened to an audiobook. That was my finishing. So I'm much more podcast focused. So I'm sorry, Kyle.
And I will say that there are 285 IGN UK podcasts before this one. So if you've missed any of them, dig them out.
They're not all of such good quality as this one. But
of course.
Oh no, they were much better in the early days. If I'm honest with you guys.
Yeah. More things.
Not too sure about that.
More things change and all that.
Exactly.
Cool. So Adam Wrigley has said, a really short one, what was that series of books I kept going on about with different worlds with one bloke that keeps cropping up, and it'll end in a book about him. So they're all books by a guy called Brandon Sanderson, and there's lots of different ones that he's writing, like the Stormlight Chronicles is one that's going on. But if you're looking for one to begin with, I would say the Mistborn trilogy was my one, and that's brilliant. So Brandon Sanderson, and there's a guy who keeps appearing in all the different books.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, awesome.
And finally, I have. Is this an announcement?
Yes, I thought so. From the Duck Hunters.
It's from David Coburn. And it's entitled Glasgow Meetup. David says, a few Glasgow duck hunters had an Avengers-esque meetup on Saturday the 20th of June. However, instead of fighting a non-threatening villain, we bowled. So this is going to be who won what?
Yeah, pretty much.
Alex won our first game, earning a UMD copy of iRobot.
That's nice.
Congratulations, Alex.
Paul was victorious in the second, becoming the proud owner of 50 Cent's debut solo album, Get Rich or Die Trying.
I knew you could do it, Paul.
But apparently it didn't have a CD in it.
Oh, well, if it had the album booklet, that could be still a thrill.
Lastly, Joe won Pro Evolution Soccer 2012 for the PS3 because no actual winner wanted it.
Oh.
Ooh.
P.S. Paul bowled a freaking 158.
That's good. What? That's crazy.
That's okay. That's good.
Pretty impressive.
That's good.
I've never gone over 200 before.
Well, nor did Paul.
Yeah, he had 158.
I'm just saying, that's quite high. As a man who's bowled his fair share of gutter balls, I think 158 should be praised.
Who's the best bowler here?
Me.
Not
Wait.
not me.
How did you bowl the Christmas party?
Yeah.
I did pretty good.
Did you really?
You did do good,
I'm
yeah.
quite good.
Our Christmas party was we went bowling.
Thanks for that, Luke.
Yeah.
Don't know if they can quite piece that together.
Well, just helping.
I take it very, very seriously.
You did. Tilly actually has his own bowling ball.
I kind of do. That's
That's true, but he refused to use it.
I bet you a glass of wine that I could bet bowl
you'd
over
do
100, and I had my last bowl and I was down at like 70 something, and I managed to get
A strike.
a strike, and then maybe 2 strikes and a spare, something unbelievable, and I got like 101, and he had to down a glass of wine.
Yeah, I actually think that's right because I was just shy of 100, so I did really not do well.
so you got 101. You're not that good.
Well, that was after a couple beers, so
And a couple of beers.
I think we need to
A rematch.
round 2.
Yeah,
Round
let's,
2.
Let's go mano y mano.
Yeah.
But yeah, well done,
Polish your
Glasgow
ball.
Duck Hunters. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. So one out this week. That's it for feedback. If you have any feedback that you do want to send us, you can send it to IGN.
IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com.
Brain fart.
I know it now
There you
because
go.
I'll never forget it again.
What's out this week on the game side of things? There's lots of words here that I don't really understand.
There are. So we played this game at lunchtime that we mentioned way back when, called J-Star's Victory VS Plus. We got sent it by PR and we didn't know what to make of it. It's basically an anime manga crossover thing.
Yeah, so it's characters from Shonen Jump, a wide array of characters. You got like Goku, Naruto, Ichigo. I thought it was going to be one of those
I know.
mortal. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought
Just go, it's fight, keep going.
I thought it was going to be one of those 2D. You pick a guy, they go across and they fight each other. Just one of those things. But then as soon as we started up, it's actually 3D and you run around and you
It's a
blow
massive
things up.
kind of open world brawler. It's
was
very,
really fun.
very weird. So anyway, we played that. That was fun. There's also Yoshi's Woolly World, which we gave a 7.4. So that's only out in Europe at the moment. It's not coming to America until October, I don't believe. Arkham Knight.
Don't
is
know if
obviously
we've
out.
talked about this one yet.
Yes, I
Arkham
don't
Knight.
know if we mentioned
Or,
Arkham Knight, which we gave a 9.2.
Yeah.
Her Story is quite an interesting game. It's out for PC. It's this weird little kind of... It's basically like Serial, the game, but it's all done with FMVs. So it's quite a unique experience, and I'd advise you to give that a go if you haven't. And then finally is Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. So it's the first expansion for the Final Fantasy XIV MMO. So yeah, there's quite a good batch this week, really. I'd assume the one that most people will be going for would be Arkham Knight, unless you have a PC. In which case you may want
J-Stars it is
J-Stars
then.
it is. Otherwise, no, I'd say Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward is a good expansion.
Yeah.
If you've played the original, it's a good time to get involved.
Okay.
How about movies?
Movies are 3 films out this week, all of which I've seen. Minions, Slow West and Everly.
You reviewed Minions, didn't you?
Reviewed Minions, reviewed Everly, didn't review Slow West, which is probably the best release of the week. So Slow West is a western starring Michael Fassbender, Cody Smith-McPhee and Ben Mendelsohn. So 3 really good actors.
That's just a great recipe. All those 3 in a Western
Yeah.
situation? That sounds great.
Was he the one
He's
who was
the-
in that thing with
he's in
Steve
the-
Carell?
He's in The Road, I think. Wasn't he the little kid in The Road? He's the little kid in
maybe.
Let Me In.
I can't.
He's a very good young actor.
Yeah, there's one where he's like, I think he's in a water park for something. Maybe
I don't know if that's it, maybe.
That
Yeah, I
was
know
just
that
a summer
film.
holiday.
Yeah, I was just following him.
It is, as the title says, it's very, very slow. But if you like your westerns kind of laid back with kind of bursts of violence and kind of quite poetic, I really recommend it. Everly is good fun. I gave it quite a positive review. It's getting lots of negative reviews for being nasty and immature. And I guess that probably means I'm nasty and immature.
Yeah,
Because I thought it was
right.
good fun. But it's Die Hard in a Room starring Salma Hayek,
Okay.
where she's in an apartment as like an army of henchmen come to try and kill her, and she's got to survive.
In one room?
Yeah, in an apartment, basically.
Oh,
Okay.
sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like the raid, but
I thought it was good fun.
Okay.
And then Minions, which is the big release of the week, will probably make $1 billion. I wasn't a huge fan. I thought the first half hour was great when it was the Minions through time. You saw kind of their history,
Yeah.
all these little funny little vignettes. But then when it actually got to the business of having a plot set in the 60s, and they go to New York and London, and Sandra Bullock's the kind of major villain in it, I don't know, it was just, I felt like it was going through the motions, like I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Whereas the first stuff was really...
Despicable Me. I like those films. They're pretty good.
How's the dialogue in it? Because obviously they don't really talk.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you know, it's silent comedy, effectively.
Yeah,
it's what they... Shaun the Sheep and, you know, some of the Wallace and Gromit stuff and Penguins in Madagascar, maybe. I don't know. It's when they do that, which is the first half hour, it works really, really well. But then when it becomes more run-of-the-mill... or more similar to Despicable Me, actually, because she's effectively like a, you know...
She's the Steve Carell-esque
yeah, but just a
villain,
less interesting version. I lost interest, so...
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It will still make an absolute fortune.
Probably.
So your pick?
Slow West.
Cool.
So I'm going to say goodbye, I think. Are we done?
I think that is everything. I don't
From my samurai, my knight.
Well, did we talk about Arkham Knight yet? Did we talk...
We might have talked about Arkham.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit. Okay.
The Arkham Knight podcast is drawn to a close. So as ever, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Yes.
And we love you. Bye-bye.
Duck Hunt. Bye.
You should listen to the GamesIndustry.biz microcast.
More people are playing games than ever before. They've never been more popular, and yet the business behind it is facing some real challenges and changes.
There's been tens of thousands of layoffs, hundreds of studio closures as major companies face rising costs and falling sales.
There's uncertainty around the future of game consoles.
There's legal and government intervention into how games are even being paid for.
The role of AI is changing how games are being made.
There's the impact of games like Fortnite and Roblox dominating everyone's time.
And then there's the desperate wait for Switch 2 and GTA 6, and that's just 2024.
Two leading business journalists with a combined 35 years of experience offer you a weekly guide through all of this and more.
I'm Christopher Dring, head of GamesIndustry.biz.
I'm James Batchelor, editor-in-chief of GamesIndustry.biz, and you can join us every Monday for the GamesIndustry.biz microcast.
The most important stories,
expert guests,
exclusive market data,
and all in less than 30 minutes.
Usually.
The GamesIndustry.biz microcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey folks, we're the hosts of Comic Sans, the podcast about comics for those who are sans knowledge. I'm Yen, a reader, writer, liver, and breather of comic books.
And I'm Nat. I used to know absolutely nothing about comics, but now...
So actually, I've got a quiz for you.
I still have a lot to learn about comics.
Thank you. On Comic Sans, I make Nat read some of my favorite works in the medium, including Saga, Daredevil, and The Flintstones.
And Yen talks about what makes that comic special. Sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's...
Paneling, gutters, page turns, colorings, lettering, semiotics, juxtaposition.
Okay, Professor, save it for the episodes.
You can listen to Comic Sans on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can binge our first 2 seasons. That's over 20 episodes on 20 different comics.
And we just launched Season 3, new episodes every 2 weeks.